Hey guys, Furum here, and today we are going to be testing the Genty Akylone in multiplayer in Asphalt 9 at 1 star. Yes, you heard that right. I got this car a couple months ago, I think, just barely managed to unlock it, and today we're going to be seeing how one of the best cars in Class A performs in multiplayer when it is at its lowest star count. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and enjoy these races. So we are starting off with an absolute banger of a race. This one was insane. This race, and all of the ones after it in the video, are going to be recorded in Platinum League, so we're going to be seeing a lot of high-end B and A class cars. Now, you may be wondering, how is a 1-star car going to be good, even if it is one of the best cars in its class? Well, this comes down to the speed mainly. You see, this car at max can go very fast, I think 238 or something like that, but at 1 star, it already goes 232, which is already quite a bit faster than a lot of the higher end B class cars and some of the mid-tier A class cars as well. And it can keep up decently well with those higher end A class cars, which it may not be quite as fast as, because while the rest of its stats aren't amazing, definitely nowhere near as good as they would be at max, they're still definitely quite good. As you'll see throughout these races, the nitro is fine, the handling is fine, everything else about this car is fine, and in this first race we were able to pass this guy at the very last second to come in first place. He was in a Corvette ZR1, which I did make a video about recently if you'd like to check that out. I recently maxed it, and the thing is though, the Genty at 1 star is I think 5 miles per hour faster than that car at max, so that coupled with the fact that he took the longer route at the end made it so that I was able to pass him and take the victory there. And you'll see throughout these races, I usually do get a little bit behind at the beginning because this car's acceleration at 1 star, as most cars' acceleration at 1 star, is just not that great. But then, just because the speed is pretty much right on par, if not better than a lot of the cars that I'm facing, I begin to slowly catch up. And that's the thing that you will continue to see throughout these races. Now here we have a Huracan coming to the left and a Huayra coming to the right. Somehow this Huayra goes up on the side and wrecks, and then the Huracan left the track. And so somehow I went from third to first just like that. Kind of a weird occurrence. But now, unless I make a mistake, nobody should be able to catch up. You see, a lot of the higher end A-class cars, and even S-class cars for that matter, can be decent even at low stars just because of their speed. Now, this may not be for everybody for sure, because if speed is the only thing you have going for you in a car and everything else is maybe mediocre at best, it's going to be more difficult to drive. That is something that I faced when driving this car. It certainly wasn't as easy as, say, the Huayra or something, but it was not as hard as the Griffith, which, by the way, I tested in Forza Horizon 4 recently, and I will be making a video about that in that game soon, so definitely check that out if you'd like to see how the car, which is a D-Class King and does not drive very well, actually is quite competitive in S1 class in Forza Horizon 4, and drives quite nicely, I must say. Oh, and something weird when I was recording these races, I kept getting knocked down left and right without even meaning to. I have no idea why it kept happening, but you'll see it multiple times throughout this video as well. It was the strangest thing, but I think it did help me in the end, although I didn't do any of them on purpose, as you guys know. So let's talk a little bit about the stats of this car. The acceleration at 76 is slower than a Corvette Grand Sport's acceleration, and with a nitro below 60 and a handling near 50, it doesn't really strike confidence in the heart in those either. And then my knockdown luck comes back on me, and I get knocked down. But remember, the cars ahead of me aren't as fast as me. Well, that one was, but I just passed him because he didn't take the ramp very well. But we have a Huracan, 222, and an Apex, same speed. I'm 232. Accidentally knock one of them down again, almost passed this guy at the last second. He did a very good job defending there without 360 or anything, just not letting me by, and it worked out really well for him in the end. And now for definitely one of the closest races in the video, and we have a couple of Apexes as well as a Vanda, which, as many of you guys know who are veterans in the multiplayer scene, is quite a good car that almost nobody uses. Well, it's becoming more popular nowadays, but it used to be that almost nobody used it because it came out at a time when people were spending their tokens on other things, and its power was not fully known. However, we've come to realize recently that the Vanda, although its speed isn't amazing, it's like 225-ish, somewhere around there, I don't know exactly right offhand, but it's certainly not the fastest thing in Class A. However, the perfect nitro makes it go faster, And the acceleration, the handling, the nitro, all the rest of it is absolutely amazing. And that makes it a very easy car to drive. I do have some videos up about it on my channel if you would like to see that. But overall, it is just way more powerful and more reliable than we initially thought. However, I'm still catching up. This is due to a couple of reasons, obviously the speed difference, but also that was a relatively low-ranked Vanda. My Vanda is only, I think, at 2 stars at this point, where it certainly is not the powerhouse that it becomes at max, but here, he takes the long way, so I was thinking, okay, maybe I can catch up to him at the last second, since I'm faster. He flat spins, I don't, and then I use my brake nitro trick to keep as much speed, and I pass him at the last second. Or do I? Unfortunately not, and I come in a single frame behind him. Thought for sure I'd passed him. I think the finish line was just a little bit ahead. If the finish line had been moved up slightly further, I would have. But in any case, that was an amazing race. And now we are on to one of the only completely full races that I think I played in this car. We had 8 people, and as you can imagine, at the beginning of this Osaka track, it was a bit crazy. Again, with a Vanda picking up in front of the race because that car's acceleration is also very good. So oftentimes you will see them get ahead at the very beginning. However, here, I push him and he wrecks on the little middle thing. Again, completely unintentional. I don't know what it is. This Genty is just a savage or something. So the Italian multiplayer season number 2 has begun in Asphalt 9. It's another one of the max free try ones where they give you about 7 or 8 different cars that you can test at max for free, notably in this case the Murcielago and the Mazzanti. Neither of those have we been able to test in multiplayer at max before. I definitely will be making videos about those two, and probably will try to get some footage of the Murcielago in normal multiplayer as well. I have one of those lined up. It might be a bit difficult to get that for the Mazzanti though. I don't know how many people are actually going to go for it much because it isn't the most amazing car and looks quite expensive to be able to get, not only in terms of the number of cars that you have to have, but also the star counts and everything that you have to have them at. So we head from one 8-player race right into another 8-player race here, and we have got 3 Apexes at this time. We've got Jaguar CX-75, which I also haven't planned to make a video about. We've got a Porsche 911, we've got a Porsche Carrera GT, all the gangs here. The funny thing though, is it's a bunch of slower but good nitro efficiency sort of cars up against a Genty that's kind of okay in speed, but not really great in anything else. Exactly the opposite of the rest of the cars in this race. And that pretty much sums up this car at low stars. Yes, you get the great speed, and it is certainly not difficult to drive, but you're certainly not going to get the high-end A-Class experience that you might have come to expect with some of the other cars like the 918 and the Huayra, and pretty much any of the other ones. You have to star this car up to probably at least like 3 stars to be able to really get that feeling out of it, and then only 5 or 6 to have it be extremely good. But even at 1 star, it can certainly kick some butt in multiplayer. You're not going to be doing amazing stuff with it. It's not going to be the most reliable thing, but if you just have it at very low stars, it's probably going to be better than a lot of the other 1-star cars that you might have in the game. Also, although this car might not be particularly useful to me, I have an inkling that it could very well be used in a special event at some point. Gameloft seems to like to take obscure older cars that most people don't have and turn them into necessities for special events. So guys, thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt and other games content, and I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!